Universe 6's ultimate trump card has now revealed itself to be the Potara fusion of Kefla and Kale, in creating the new super warrior known as Kefla, as she now looks to take on Super Saiyan God Goku and pushing him as far as using Super Saiyan Blue and Kaioken stacked on top of that. But is she hiding more power than what we give her credit for, or is she reaching the limit of her power as a fused warrior? What is going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome to my Dragon Ball Super episode 115 review entitled Goku vs. Kefla, Super Saiyan Blue defeated, leading into next week's exciting episode of Dragon Ball Super episode 116, which will be starring Ultra Instinct Goku and having to battle a powered up Kefla, as according to spoilers we do understand that Goku is going to be backed into a corner, in which as a response Goku taps back into Ultra Instinct as a response against Kefla, which will be a groundbreaking episode nonetheless. But either way, if you guys are new to this channel and of course love Dragon Ball, don't forget to go ahead and punch that subscribe button alongside enabling all notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever a brand new Dragon Ball video is posted onto this channel in connection to news, information, updates, and spoilers. Hashtag notification squad to be up to date with all the latest in Dragon Ball, as finally at long last we get to bear witness of the Universe 6 fused warrior having to collide against Universe 7's mightiest fighter. But either way, we kick off Dragon Ball Super episode 115 exactly where we left off, with Goku right from the start having to come flying through a pile of rocks, and he turns around with a look of concern as we see how Kefla is continuously impressed with her own power as she continuously powers up more and more, and all of the other spectators, including the gods, are also very surprised that Kefla is this strong. So in base form, right from the start, we see how she punches Goku in the stomach, and more notably enough, as a Super Saiyan God, she kind of gives him this hammer strike above, in which causes Goku to literally embed his feet in the ground. It was very, very intense. So Kefla grabs Goku in what it looked like the Cesaro swing from WWE, in case you guys watch wrestling, which I kind of popped for, which is pretty cool, but in no way, shape, or form did I agree with the concept of a Super Saiyan God having to essentially looks kind of weak against her. But for the most part in the beginning, base form Kefla, she wasn't doing anything extraordinary in terms of completely outpacing Goku, but she did have the upper hand entirely, and this caused a commotion with Beerus, because Beerus is furious on the idea that fusion has to be against the rules, and the Omni Kings actually love it, and the Grand Priest announces that it is okay. So again, the rules are going to continuously change. We understand that based on what's happening here, as of course as did with Master Roshi with the Mafuba, and as long as the Omni Kings are entertained, that's all that really matters. And we saw how, funny enough, how Beerus grabbed Kaioshin's earrings and he just like ripped it off of his ear. I mean, again, if you want to talk about like believability, Beerus just took those earrings off essentially and wanting to, like, you know, do something with them involving his own fighters. But even with that being said, we finally get to see something involving Toppo and Vegeta, and even though it was momentary, Toppo had the upper hand on Vegeta, because right in the beginning Toppo was just throwing hands. Vegeta wasn't hurt, but Vegeta was kind of aggravated on the idea that he was getting pushed back by Toppo. So what's interesting to note as well is Toppo did the exact same Justice Crush that he did against Goku during the Zen exhibition match, and Vegeta was getting squeezed like a boa constrictor holding a mouse. It was really cool actually, because we all wanted to see the end result of Vegeta and Toppo, and as you know, Kefla was fighting Goku, Toppo wrapped himself around Vegeta, and we kind of had ourselves like a little stalemate there as the Namekians of Universe 6 collide with Piccolo and Gohan. And what I love about this is the Namekians seem to be working so well as a cohesive unit in grabbing Piccolo's leg, and even during the whole sequence of that, Gohan is trying to, you know, help Piccolo out by deflecting some blast. Even brutally enough, Gohan severed one of the Namekians' arms by stepping on it and completely ripping it off. That, I think, if anything, was completely badass on Gohan's end. So that was pretty cool to see. But what I loved more so than anything else was the fact that as Goku was fighting Kefla, all around the ring, we get to see how there was an engagement with Toppo and Vegeta, the Namekians and Piccolo and Gohan, so everyone had a role to play essentially. But either way, I think what was more interesting is how Beerus was holding on to the Potara earrings and thinking that maybe they should use the Potaras too, as Shin goes on to say that 17 and 18 finds that really weird, as Beerus points out the fact that we need to use Potara at this given point, especially seeing how Kefla was dominating Goku in base form. So the essential idea here was all of the gods were pretty much chit-chatting as to using fusion, and I will say this, as of right now, as of this recording, there is absolutely no confirmation that we will ever see Vegito in the Tournament of Power. But I will also say this, after seeing what we saw tonight, we saw how Helise was able to throw the Potara earrings inside of the tournament stage. And what I loved about this was the fact that it looks like it's actually legal for other people to use Potaras, because as Helise threw her earrings, we see how two of the Universe 2 fighters were trying to put the earrings on, and one of the fighters actually wasn't able to put it on because he had a helmet on. He didn't really have ears, but Kefla came in and Kefla just tanked right through them because she understood if anybody else were to use fusion, it would be game, set, match from there. And Kaioshin from Universe 2 actually fainted because as, you know, Kefla knocked over the other fighters, the earrings that were handed on over from Universe 2's Kaioshin were actually broken. So we see Android 18, she's looking at her ankle, it looks to be bruised, and then we get the stupid policeman from Universe number 3 come in. And I will say this, to his credit, he looks like a cool character in terms of concept, but the whole Wii U like Waka Waka thing that he was doing, it was so wonky, but it's typical Toriyama stuff. And notably enough, he also dabbed. I just want to point that out. But either way, Android 18 took a ferocious fist to the face, what I loved more so than anything else in this episode was seeing how everyone actually was fighting in this tournament aside from Goku and Kefla. Now, as the Universe 3 fighter was about to punch 18 in the face, Android 17 came out of the blue and catching his punch right before he essentially punched his sister. So that was incredibly awesome. I wanted to see more of Android 17 because I feel as if 17 is such a high, caliber like fighter, and he's not getting the necessary airtime that he should, in the idea that 17 objects to the speedy warrior in walking off. And what I liked about this the most was the detail. We see how 17's shirt is kind of torn from the back, and finally, after about, I would say, 12 minutes in, we get to see how Kefla is completely dominating Goku by unleashing energy waves and energy blasts that pretty much have Goku on the run. And Goku, essentially enough, is worried, even though as a viewer, you may agree or disagree with this kind of a concept. For me, I'm not so on board with this, but Champa was very happy in the idea that their most prized fighter for Universe 7 is finally getting his butt whooped by, of course, Universe 6. And keep in mind, Universe 6 and its fighters mostly have been eliminated by Universe 7, so that's very interesting enough. But the whole time as Champa's talking down to Beerus, Beerus is just observing how Champa is just like neglecting him and just talking down, but then Goku turns into Super Saiyan Blue as he got pushed back. So Super Saiyan God essentially didn't really do anything during this whole fight until we saw Super Saiyan Blue Goku in action. And I will say, as this happened, we saw how Kefla also transformed, and based on her transformation alone, we see how she literally shook the entire tournament stage. There was wind blowing all over the place, and the only person that wasn't affected by this, I would say, was Goku. And Champa is sure that, at this very point now, Kefla can beat Super Saiyan Blue Goku, especially now since he's very tired after fighting Jiren, which is why Champa is trying to capitalize on this. Now, in case you guys are wondering, Goku is no longer going to be preserving his stamina, in the idea that he knows as of this point he needs it to fight off against Kefla in this kind of a state-like form. So we see how once they engage, it was a very interesting fight, because just as Kefla was throwing down with Goku, I guess you can say for a moment it was kind of even, but literally there was like electricity all over the ring. The entire ring was shaking, but Kefla was getting the best of Blue Goku, because just as Goku was doing everything in his willpower to try to counteract what she was doing, she countered right back. So the whole time this is happening, we see how Jiren is foreshadowed in the background, and his eyes seem to be twitching. We see how his fingers seem to be moving, so he is acknowledging this fight. And then finally, I will say, we see Vegeta versus Toppo. Now, the entire vice script that I was talking about in the beginning, we see how Vegeta broke through it in grabbing Toppo from behind and pretty much throwing him to the point where Toppo fell on down to the ground, and Vegeta had the opportunity there just for a moment just to acknowledge how strong Toppo was. But I also feel like the fight between legendary Super Saiyan Kefla, because it looked like she did tap into more or less Kale's abilities into looking like her, the same hair color or whatnot, when she was fighting Super Saiyan Blue Goku, it was seemingly enough something to where it forced Goku using Kaioken. And the whole time this is happening, I loved how Kefla unleashed one specific blast where Goku had to use Kaioken to deflect it, and this blast was hurtling towards Frieza's direction. And the whole time Frieza's just standing there, he's observing, he's watching, he's waiting, and Frieza's buying time, I think, later on for him to execute his plan in either attacking the Saiyans, because I still feel personally that Frieza is up to something to where he's obviously studying Goku, he's studying Kefla, and as Goku uses Kaioken to deflect Kefla's blast, Frieza isn't sure as to who's going to win. Even Frieza himself, after witnessing Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku having a square up against Kefla, even Frieza himself wasn't really sure as to what was going to happen with, of course, Kefla. Now, Kefla had some really unique abilities, I would say, with her blasts. And with that having to be said, Goku did manage to push Kefla a couple of times using Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. There was one specific shot where Goku punched her, and you see literal steam coming from her forearms or whatnot. However, as the fight progressed, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku got a nasty, and I mean a nasty shot to her abdominal as he punched her. And so I would say with Kaioken, it did help him out. However, it didn't help out his chances in him having to be tired out, in him having to exhaust his stamina, because remember, Kaioken does have a huge significant impact on your body. But as Goku punched her in the abdominals, Kefla went flying through a bunch of rocks. So I would say, in my opinion, legendary Super Saiyan Kefla and Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku are kind of equals in an essence, to where it was kind of hard to even predict as to what was going to happen. But of course, Kefla wasn't severely damaged. She wasn't tired. She did stand up kind of shaking, but she was more so angry than anything else. So we understand at this very point, Goku does have the ability to withhold and withstand against a fusion of this caliber, even though based on what we saw, Kefla and Goku were kind of neck and neck with each other, until of course we saw how Goku kept getting pushed back eventually, in which we understand based on next week's episode, he is going to use Ultra Instinct once more. But even as pointed out by Whis and Beerus, especially Beerus for that matter, seems to be very upset on the idea that something's wrong with Goku, and Champa having to yell at Kefla and saying, you can't lose, especially with the Potara earrings, you have to keep attacking Goku until he's hurt. And there were certain times where they kind of reused the same energy sequences in terms of animation, but nonetheless, Beerus was very concerned on the idea that Goku was having a very difficult time with this character, of course. But as Goku unleashes a Kaioken Kamehameha, Kefla kicks Goku so hard in his face. She kicks him so hard in the cheek where she essentially lays him out. Like, as soon as Goku dropped on down to the ground, he powered down from Super Saiyan Blue back down onto his base form. So everyone else was shocked by this, including Beerus, in which, to me, of course, I don't understand as to how this logically makes sense. I'm not nitpicking, but I'm just saying, how is it that Kefla got one single shot on Goku's face and caused them to essentially enough to just get knocked down? It is confirmed that Goku is very, very tired. That's one thing that Champa pointed out. That's one thing that everybody pointed out, was the idea that Goku is being taken advantage of because he is very tired. He can't seem to continue. And as Kefla is looking down at Goku, we see how Goku begins to move, and she's impressed that Goku can still fight, and she launches a volley of blast on him, like a barrage of attacks on Goku while he's powered down, and Champa is just rejoicing all this. I love how the gods actually had some sort of interaction with their characters, because Champa, when he saw that Kefla was losing, he kept encouraging her to continue, and Beerus was mad at Goku for not pushing himself even more to stop her or put her down. And Goku at that point, as soon as Kefla unleashed her attacks, all of a sudden we see how, as the attacks were coming in Goku's direction, Ultra Instinct awakens. Do I agree with this? It was a cool concept to see. However, it just came out of the blue. It literally came out of the blue, and once Goku used Ultra Instinct, he deflected everything that Kefla threw at him. I mean, literally, she was throwing blast after blast after blast, and Goku, even with his eyes being closed, his body reacted to the point where he literally dodged everything that she was doing. So after Goku went UI, you can call this GG right now, because as Goku went UI, what I loved the most was the lighting and the shades for Goku's eyes. And finally, by the time it was all said and done, he powered up and we see the aura all around him. And what was awesome was the way the episode closed, because as Kefla was unleashing her attacks, she was kind of startled that Goku did this, and finally UI is back, and we see how everyone else is shocked. Champa went from being, impressed as to what, Kefla was doing into being terrified as to what Goku had just done. So either way, Whis is even reminded that the fact that Goku, doing this is not essentially easy, but as he continues to evade the quote-unquote impossible attacks that Kefla was unleashing, Beerus stands up and he is very cocky. I love Beerus's confidence by the very end, because he stood up and essentially enough, he just said, "It's over." And I love how essentially, you already know that UI Goku's gonna stomp. And with that being said, in terms of animation, the episode wasn't as good animation-wise as last week's, but in the end, I would like to know what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. Did you guys agree or disagree with Kefla having to push Goku as far as using Kaioken in his Super Saiyan Blue form? What are your overall thoughts on Kefla's tremendous power? What are your overall thoughts on Super Saiyan God? Essentially enough having to get bitched out in this episode. Did you guys agree or disagree with this concept? Do you guys favor any other fusion aside from Kefla? And if that's the case, what fusion would that be? Thank you all so much for watching, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, make sure to go on ahead and slap a like down below. The road to 500k continues. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to go on ahead and slap that subscribe button, guys. Tune back in for more. Again, this was a very solid episode in terms of back and forth competition, and Goku having to pretty much not conserve his stamina anymore in waiting, in the idea that he realized how powerful she was, and Jiren even taking notice of this and pushing Goku and using Super Saiyan Blue, and now going as far as using Ultra Instinct in the upcoming episode, in which again we are going to give our predictions in the predictions video alongside breaking everything down in the overall episode preview breakdown. So make sure you guys tune back on the channel for that. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. Once again, if you guys have missed out any other previous video, be sure to go on ahead and check it out, guys. Thank you all so much for your support. Tune back in for more. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below as we always talk Dragon Ball. Take it easy, guys. Peace.